Hey guys, welcome to my channel. First of all, thank you for all the feedback that I got on my first video, and I'm hoping you guys will continue highlighting anything that will help me improve my content. I've been quite busy lately and was not able to upload any videos. Hopefully, I'll try to do this more frequently. So today I would like to show you guys this app service that I use quite frequently called Code Server. I use this regularly in my home lab, and I will be using this in my future videos as well whenever I deploy any application. If you have used Microsoft Visual Studio before, you would be familiar with this, as Code Server is VS Code running on a remote server. And yeah, it's accessible via the browser, which is really cool. And yeah, so first what we'll do is we will look at the interface, and then we will jump in and on the command line deploy it in a Docker container for us to use it. So as you can see, this is how Code Server looks like, and it's quite similar to the Microsoft Visual Studio as mentioned. And the way it works is you can either have your own workspace, or you can direct the path to a particular part of a directory in your environment, and you can access the folders and then you can make changes. So what I have done is I have directed it to my Docker folder, which has all my Docker files. So as you can see, there are these Docker files here. They are all having Docker YAML, Docker compose.yaml files. So it's quite easy. You can just you can always click here, and you can click on the YML file, and there you go. As you can see that it is quite straightforward. You don't have to open up a command line, then go to the particular folder. It's more like a notepad of sorts. And yeah, so as you can see, my compose files here, and let's say if I want to deploy it, I don't even have to jump on a terminal. All I need to do is I can just right click on here, and it has an option called Open in Integrated Terminals. So I'll click that, and let me just down. And as you can see, it probably takes me directly to the Docker side of Portainer. I mean, it's within the container itself, and I don't really want that. I want it to be on my machine directly. I want to access SSH on my machine directly. So it's quite easy, just like how you normally do it on a terminal. Just go SSH, then your username, and then at the IP address. So I will just enter my password here. There you go. So now I have connected to my machine, and from here I can then try and deploy, try and correct any of my containers if need be. So it's like a one-stop shop. I don't really need to jump out to another terminal and then make edits here and make changes somewhere else. So I can kind of do everything in this one place. Also, there are quite a few extensions that you can download. So I believe there are extensions for Python and YAML. As you can see, I've downloaded one for YAML. So what this extension does is it's quite helpful in the sense, let's say if this is my YAML file, and let's say if I have made a mistake here. YAML is quite specific as far as when it comes to the spaces, and if the space is incorrect, it will not work. And without this extension, you won't see this red webbed line. So this extension helps us with any errors, and it will point it out whenever there is any error. So in this case, as you see, there is a space. I'll just go ahead and remove it, and there you go. So this will kind of helps as well to understand the issues with the script and to fix it. So yeah, so without further wasting any time, let us jump in and deploy the code server on the Docker platform. Alright, so we'll start with creating a directory for code server. So sudo mkdir code server, then lead into the directory. Now we need to create a docker compose.yaml file. So for that, sudo nano. Nano is the editor that I used. If you use Vim or some other editor of your choice, feel free to use that. docker-compose.yml. Alright, so I'll paste the contents of the YAML script for code server. And I will also put in links to my GitHub page where I will have labels for traffic as well, which I use for reverse proxy. So in case if you are looking for something like that, then you can visit my GitHub page to get those labels as well. So as far as the script is concerned, you can see that the service that we are trying to deploy is code server, and this is the image that it will be pulling from. I like to give my Docker deployments name, and it's quite easier to just give what the actual name of the service is. The environment needs to be filled in, especially the user ID. So these are the user IDs. I'll show you once once we have done save the script, how to identify what user ID you have. And this is the time zone. For me, it's Pacific Auckland. You can set up passwords as well. I already have a Thilia that I use, so I don't really want additional passwords. So I've just grayed out these lines. There is a default workspace that, as you see here, it's showing under config/workspace. So this is the workspace that it creates by default. But what we'll do is we'll also point it to our workspace that will be under the OPT directory, which has the Docker folder. And networks, whatever your network is, the Docker network that you state, and then volume. Here, yeah, the one volume will be for code server. Don't really need this. Yeah, so the / means it will put this config directory in my code server folder. So it will create another folder called config, and then this will be mapped to the Docker containers config directory for code server. Then the OPT one, as you can see, is where my Docker folder is, so I want access to that, and /array is just a name that you can change it to something else if you want to, but this is how I'll show you how you will end up finding it once you launch code server. Ports, it's by default it's 8443. It's quite a common port as well if you have deployed any other services before, so I like to give it a different port. So I've just chosen 8050. So anything on the left is what is externally accessible. Anything on the right is within the Docker network. So just remember not to change anything on the right. You can change the ones on the left. So restart on desktop, make sure it always has this argument so that you don't have any containers not starting when you have restarted, or when you're making some changes as well on any of the container files. Networks, it just makes um, sure that it is going to connect to the Docker default network, and externally it will be available. So this is my Docker Compose file. I will hit save. So in order to do that, you will Control X, and it says save modified buffer, yes, and then this file to write, and then just press enter and it will save it. And as I mentioned, how do we find the user ID? It's very straightforward. All you have to do is just press ID, just type in ID, and there you go. It comes up with your user ID, which is by default. Most of the users will have 1000, but for some reason, if it's different, you will be able to identify that it will be next to your username. Okay, so with that out of the way, we are now ready to deploy the code server app service on our Docker system. So in order for us to do that, all we need to do is just just type in sudo docker. We don't need sudo in this. Docker compose up -d, and then we press enter. So in my case, it's directly showing that the container code server is started because it's already done the download, because I previously tried installing this while I was doing some tests. But for you, it will download it first, and then it will be container started. So once it's done that, the next step from there would be to jump onto a web browser. You can also check from the command line itself by typing in docker ps. So what it does, it will list all the containers that are active at the moment. So in my case, I have code server, which is now just showing 39 seconds ago. Then you'll notice that there is the Godify server that I deployed in my last video, and then I have Portainer as well, and it gives quite helpful information as to which port it is currently in. Okay, so now we are on a web browser, so I will open up a new tab, and then I will put in the IP address that is assigned to the machine that has the Docker containers. So for me, it's 10.1.5.209, and then at the end I will add the port for the code server container that is externally available. So in my case, I have added 8050. In your case, you might have kept it as default. That would be 8443, or any other port that you have specified in the YAML file. And once you've done that, just press enter, and sometimes you might just be greeted with a way to choose what sort of a background you want. So I've just chosen the following. It will default to this workspace. If you remember, in the file there was an option called the default workspace, so it is currently on that. In order for me to move over, I can create some folders and files from here, but I want to access my Docker directory. So in order for me to do that, I will have to click here and then file, and then there is an option called open folder. So if you click on open folder, then it will bring this thing up. So I'll just remove this. Make sure there is the / there, and as you can see, there is something called array. This is the same thing that was there on my Docker Compose file. So array is what will connect me to my Docker directory, because that's how I have added that on the system or on the Compose file. So So this is the same way you can add some other directories as well if you want to, and just make sure whatever name you have added, when you deploy it, you will be able to find it accordingly. And it's /array, and then I'll select this and click OK. I can just choose Docker and then OK. So you'll see it reloads, and now you can just click I understand, and you'll see that I can see all my Docker containers or the folders that are there, and these folders, then you can go and check your Docker Compose file if you want to. So in my case, with the code server Docker Compose file, you can notice that it also shows the directory that it's created, the config one. And if I click on this, it will bring up the one that we were editing earlier in the command line. And the beauty of this is you have access to this, and as I showed earlier, you can just right click and open in a terminal as well. So yeah, so there is a lot more you can do, and as mentioned earlier, I will be using this from now on to add and deploy any of my services. So if you like this, and if you would be deploying in your home environment, do let me know down in the comments. If you I will put the link for the GitHub page for the Linux server code server page, and I will also put the link for my Docker Compose YAML file with the Traefik labels. Also, I'm working on my next video, which is on a to-do task app called Vaikunja with notifications enabled via Gotify. So if that is something that interests you, then watch out for my next video. Take care and God bless.